Baseball Hall of Famer John Smoltz, Bobby Cox had a lasting impact on just about every player and coach he led. For Baseball Hall of Famer Tom Glavine, Bobby Cox earned respect not through authority, but through trust, consistency, and accountability. 2026 Baseball Hall of Fame inductee Andrew Jones was able to thrive in an environment Bobby Cox created where players believed in themselves and had the confidence to succeed. When three generational players describe the same leader in remarkably similar ways, it's worth asking what made that leader so influential. Bobby Cox wasn't simply one of baseball's winningest managers. He was a leader whose authenticity, integrity, and commitment to developing others transformed an organization and the people within it. I'm Pat Douglas, and in this presentation, I'll examine how Bobby Cox exemplified both authentic and transformational leadership, and why his leadership legacy continues to serve as a model both on and off the field. Before we examine Bobby Cox as a leader, it's important to understand the magnitude of his career. Cox managed for nearly 3 decades, won over 2,500 games, was named Manager of the Year 4 times, won 2 World Series championships, and was inducted into the Atlanta Braves and National Baseball Halls of Fame. His success on the field gives credibility to the leadership principles we'll explore next.
Bobby Cox stands out as a great leader for 3 reasons. First, his loyalty to his players and coaches was off the charts. More often than not, he went toe to toe with major league umpires when he felt they got the short end of the stick. There's a reason why he was ejected a major league record 162 times. He protected his players and coaches. Also, if someone was in a slump, he was always optimistic and positive, and his loyalty was truly appreciated by just about every player he managed. The second reason is accountability. Hall of Fame pitcher Tom Glavine said that Cox was the single greatest influence on him as a player. His teammate, Hall of Fame pitcher John Smoltz, told a story to The Athletic about how newly inducted Hall of Famer Andrew Jones was pulled from a game by Cox for not giving his full effort, speaking to his leadership with action. He demanded effort, but did not stop believing in his players. Finally, he made sure that his players felt respected and capable of achieving more than they thought, instilling trust and confidence in them. He made them believe in themselves. Smolt said it best in the quote below. The first leadership theory that can be connected with Bobby Cox is authentic leadership. Authentic leadership develops through interactions between leaders and followers. That's exactly what happened between Cox and his players. John Smoltz learned this very quickly, sharing his epiphany with The Athletic.
Northhouse also says that authentic leadership can be defined from a developmental perspective, developing in people over a lifetime. Authentic leaders aren't born, they develop over time. Bobby Cox spent nearly 40 years learning how to lead, beginning in the Yankees organization before refining his philosophy with Toronto and ultimately Atlanta. The second leadership theory that can be connected with Bobby Cox is transformational leadership. Northouse says that transformational leadership focuses on the relationship between leader and follower, and Cox made it a point throughout his managerial career to maintain strong relationships with his players, regardless of how they were performing on the field. Matt Kritzer summarized this perfectly in a LinkedIn post shortly after Cox's passing in May 2026.
Another characteristic of transformational leaders is helping followers reach their fullest potential. John Smoltz's experience with Bobby Cox perfectly illustrates this, guiding him for most of his career that ultimately led to his induction into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 2015. Northouse mentions that transformational leaders also set out to empower followers and nurture change. In remembering his first manager, former Braves first baseman Freddie Freeman provided a great example of just how nurturing and empowering Cox was when he made his major league debut in 2010.
During his second stint with the Braves, Cox was instrumental in leading his teams to 14 division titles in 15 seasons, with the 1991 Braves going worst to first to win the first of those titles. This stretch of sustained success was achieved because of five leadership fundamentals developed by Kouzes and Posner. The first leadership practice identified by Kouzes and Posner is model the way. Effective leaders establish clear values and set the example for others to follow. Bobby Cox never overwhelmed his players with a long list of rules. Instead, he had three simple expectations. These weren't just rules, they reflected his values of professionalism, respect, and accountability. By modeling those values every day, Cox created a culture where players understood exactly what was expected of them and were free to focus on performing at their highest level. The second practice is inspire a shared vision. Great leaders help people see possibilities they may not yet see in themselves. That's exactly what Bobby Cox did before the historic 1991 season. After years of finishing in last place, he believed in a young group of players that included Tom Glavine, John Smoltz, and Steve Avery. More importantly, he helped them believe in themselves. That shared vision transformed the Braves from the worst team in their division in 1990 to National League champions just 1 year later, launching one of the greatest dynasties in Major League Baseball. Bobby Cox didn't simply manage a team, he inspired an organization to believe that success was possible. The third practice is challenge the process, which requires leaders to take calculated risks in pursuit of improvement. During the 1991 pennant race, the Braves suddenly lost their starting center fielder, Otis Nixon, to a suspension. Rather than allowing the setback to derail the season, Bobby Cox made the bold decision to move Lonnie Smith into the everyday lineup and leadoff spot. Cox publicly expressed complete confidence in Smith's ability to succeed, and that confidence paid off. His willingness to embrace change instead of fearing it helped keep the Braves on course for a remarkable worst to first season. The fourth practice is enable others to act. Great leaders recognize that leadership isn't about controlling every situation. It's about empowering others to lead. Late in the 1991 season, after three Braves players were arrested for driving under the influence, Bobby Cox didn't immediately step in to handle the situation himself. Instead, he trusted veteran third baseman Terry Pendleton to address the issue privately with his teammates. By empowering one of his respected team leaders to hold others accountable, Cox reinforced a culture of trust, responsibility, and shared leadership within the clubhouse. The final practice is encourage the heart. Exceptional leaders recognize effort, celebrate progress, and help people believe in themselves, especially during difficult times. Former Braves player and current manager Walt Weiss described Cox as someone who always found a way to encourage his players, even when they were struggling. Weiss said Cox had a remarkable ability to make players feel like they were performing better than they thought they were. That encouragement built confidence, strengthened relationships, and created an environment where players wanted to give their very best. Not because they had to, but because they didn't want to let their leader down. Throughout this presentation, you've seen Bobby Cox through the eyes of the people who knew him best. His players didn't remember him first for his 2,504 victories, his World Series championship, or his Hall of Fame career. They remembered how he made them feel, how he believed in them, and how he helped them become not only better players, but also better people as well. By leading with authenticity, empowering others, and inspiring a shared vision, Bobby Cox demonstrated that great leadership isn't measured by titles or trophies, but by the lasting impact we have on those we lead. His Hall of Fame plaque and statue outside Truist Park honor an extraordinary baseball career, but his true legacy lives on in the countless players, coaches, and leaders whose lives he transformed. I'm Pat Douglas. Thanks for watching.